Good morning, YouTube. This isn't really news, but I thought I should cover an article on InsideEVs.com that was recently posted.
I think it's newsworthy.
It is very newsworthy because I have done it.
Right?
According to this writer,
Yes.
I may have made the dumbest and laziest anti-EV take in history.
But you should be proud of that, right? Because that's your thing.
The dumbest, yes.
Yes.
Laziest,
No. Okay.
I don't know. But, yes. Apparently, my Fiat 500 video was really bad. What do you think?
Well, I just feel like I feel really terrible because I didn't watch it. I haven't
That's
seen
okay.
it. No, I haven't.
Well,
No, it's not okay because your guys like Doug and like Tavares. And
you watched all Doug's and Tavares' videos, is what you're saying?
They watch your videos. Like they'll say like, oh, I watch all of them. Like Doug even's like, I watch all of them, and I just feel like I'm like slacking a little bit.
It's okay. You could have just said it was the best video I've ever seen. It was amazing. It was great. But I do value your honesty, so I guess I'll recap.
Okay.
I bought a 2014 Fiat 500e.
Right.
It was sold to Carvana. They offered it for sale for $700.
Right.
In the photos, it was an auction. In the photos, it said the battery was charged. It was showing a charge in the photos, but it wouldn't go into drive, and it had an error service propulsion system. So
Perfect for you.
the battery seemed charged. It seemed fine. And the propulsion thing, it could be an electrical problem. It could be the drive motor. It seemed like an easily fixable car. The minimum bid was $700. I was the only one that made a bid, so I owned it.
Right.
$700, another $200 in fees, and then another $1,000 or so to get it to Kansas.
It cost more to ship it than it did to buy it.
That became $2,000 or so. It shows up at the Car Wizards, and it works.
Right.
It was completely bricked and dead, so he jumped it off, charged it up, and it went down the road just fine. No service propulsion system, goes into gear, all that stuff. But when he drove it, he noticed the battery charge was going down very quickly.
Ooh.
So then they charged it up again overnight.
Right.
And they drove it again. The battery charge went down really quickly. They did it one more time.
Right.
Battery charge, again, down very quickly. Finally, I got it, drove it once, it did the same thing. And then finally, I made my video where I noted in the introduction, in the tease or so, that I drove it about 5 miles and it used about 15 miles of range. So that was my big tease that I put in the beginning. And this tease, which was a cut down sort of like, here, get people to watch kind of thing. In 10 years, these EVs are junk.
Right. Well, I mean,
this is another example of that.
I'm not an EV expert, but with computers, laptops, cell phones, if your battery starts dying like that, you junk it. That's it. It's done, and you have to get a new one. It's not like iPhone sells you a new battery, like they kind of might do, but it's not worth it. You get something brand new.
Yeah, so I think when something's supposed to have a range of 80, 90, 100 miles, and it's down to 20 or 30, people would say that it is dead. It is dying. It is on death's door.
Right.
If you had a car that was supposed to get 300 miles to a tank and it had a knocking engines and was smoking but still going down the road, that's a dying car.
Right.
So I don't know.
This guy, whoever you are, I'll come
His
find
name's Mac Hogan.
Mac Hogan.
Yeah. Hey, the introduction to his article, it says, "Dead EV battery at only 40,000 miles, proclaims the thumbnail of the latest Hoovie's Garage YouTube video. The lie is dispelled in the first 2 seconds of the video in which he's seen driving the car. That's not what dead means, Tyler."
I like him. He's fun.
It's great. I read this whole thing just squealing with delight and laughter.
Right.
I mean, it was wonderful. I enjoyed the entire article immensely. The Car Wizard read it and was, I think, emailed him a little miffed about a few things, just not giving us the benefit of the doubt on whatever.
Sure.
But so basically he summarizes my video, summarizes me, which is sort of interesting. It's the same old story Hoovie's been telling since the start of his channel. He buys the worst possible example of a car for an unfathomably cheap price, then acts surprised and scorned when it turns out to have a litany of issues. It's a good bit, and it's fun to watch someone actually throw money at bad ideas. I mean, accurate. I mean, sometimes I'm not pretending. I'm very surprised by the issues, and sometimes a car shows up and it's actually good, and I'm equally shocked. So
the Grand Camino was fantastic when it showed up. Stop it.
I don't know about that. But yeah, he says the $700 car isn't dead. It's running and driving fine with working air conditioning. And he does point out one thing that I agree with. This was a compliance car from Fiat. The CEO at the time said, do not buy these. We're losing so much money on every single one, and it's just something that we have to build to meet U.S. mandates.
Right.
So, you know, it was a Fiat 500. They take out the engine, put in a battery pack, and this one is supposedly the better one with the bigger battery that I didn't know. But he points that out, that it's, of the electric vehicles, it is one of the worst, considered that, even though it's one of the best of the worst. And he does point out that, yeah, it does work. The car is going down the road.
But what are the specifications as far as like a dead car and with electric cars? Because I would consider this one a dead car. I wouldn't be comfortable driving it. I'd have range anxiety, which is a cool way to say it, the whole time driving it.
Well, it does have probably, what, I don't know, 20, 30% of its original range, which I would say is pretty diminished. Now, this could all be fixed. What I didn't talk about, which I guess I should have because I generalized, but the Car Wizard did explain it, it had an error code for the battery control module. So it showed up no codes for the propulsion system or any issues because it was bricked. It did completely reset itself. So this issue where it wasn't going could come back. It could pop back up at any moment. But the current codes were for the battery control module, which the Car Wizard will have in a video coming out very soon where he's dropping out the battery and he'll show what's going on. But I do believe that 1/3 of the cells weren't charged or weren't charging. So it could be the battery control module, which is controlling all these. There's like a bunch of different cells. I don't know, maybe 100 cells in there. Maybe 50, something like that. It's just a bunch of big brick of cells. And 1/3 of them aren't charging. So this battery control module can be fixed. Like one guy in Eastern Europe, almost to Russia, I guess, can fix them. And maybe that will enable it to charge evenly again. But
that would be really cool.
Maybe not. So all of this effort, dropping everything out, having to go through it, most shops are going to take one look at this and go, no, replace the battery. It's $7,500 for an improved unit. You can just drop it out and put it in, which most people would do if the car wasn't worth like $6,000 or $7,000. So since it's worth less than the battery pack, it's totaled. It's mechanically totaled, and that's what I was saying.
Wizard's kind of into this car, though. Like, he wants to dig through it. I remember you saying it's just, like, kind of fascinating for him to kind of learn. Well, not that he needs to learn anything, but that he wants to dig through it and get to know electric cars a little bit deeper.
Right. He has never played with this before, and if this were a customer off the street, he wouldn't want to risk playing with the battery and the modules and all that stuff, because if something gets screwed up, it's bricked. You drop off a car that's working and then you return it to, like, we tried and it now doesn't work. Then, like, he can't do that. So he has to go buy then a $7,500 rebuilt battery or whatever else. And I think that's a fear of a lot of shops. And up until very recently, all EVs were under warranty. They all have an 8 to 10 year warranty. So when people do have issues, they take them to the dealer, it's under warranty. A dealer battery replacement on this Fiat's, I think, $20,000, same with Teslas. But we're getting to the point now where these cars are going out of warranty. So the BMW i3 reaching its 10-year mark, Tesla's reaching their 10-year mark, the Nissan, the Leafs, way out of their warranty. And we're seeing them pop up, at least on the dealer wholesale auctions. You see me looking at them every night, basically, right?
Every day, all day, all night, all day, all night.
Where there's like a page of 50, 100 Nissan Leafs for under $2,000. A page or two of BMW i3s for under $4,000. A page or two or three of Teslas for under $10,000.
But do you think this problem could be with other car batteries, like the control modules, that just needs to be fixed?
It's possible, but then you're still having usually to drop out the whole battery pack. And you're hoping that you can go through and fix it. Say it has some bad cells. You replace those bad cells, which I had happen to me on a Tesla. Bought it and drove it for like a week, and then it went from having 300 miles of range to 50. Because the Tesla detected something that was wrong with the battery pack, and I was left with the car with no range. Now, an outfit was able to go through and replace those dead cells in the battery pack, but still, it wasn't right. So I was driving in a car trek, and we were trying to make it to Dodge City, Kansas, and it was still showing 30 miles of range and nothing. Well, just quit moving.
Which is similar to a cell phone when your battery starts dying and all of a sudden it's at like 50%, then it jumps down to like 5%. And that's when you need a new phone.
But this was supposedly a fixed, rebuilt battery. But the thing is, all these cells, you're replacing the dead cells, balancing it all out, replacing it, but then it's whack-a-mole of when, like, which one's going to fail next. So then in 6 months, a year, you're going to do it again. Keep dropping it out. Keep dropping it out. At least when an engine blows, you replace the engine. The whole thing's replaced with a junkyard engine or something like that. There's no affordable way to go through and replace these batteries yet. I say yet.
Yes.
I know with the Fiat 500e, there is this upgrade, that $7,500 upgrade with modern batteries that's supposed to dramatically improve the cars, but it's $7,500. It's a lot.
Right. So is this journalist way out of line, a little bit out of line, or is he kind like, where are you feeling on it?
Well, I do feel like I could have explained better. So, yeah, I did definitely go for the big splash in the beginning. Oh, the car's dead and all EVs are going to be junk after 10 years and all that stuff. I mean, it's a little bit of generalities, but I did explain why I felt this way. And then I did talk about how internal combustion, gasoline cars, diesels, that's the same way. In 10 years, they're all just going to be junk because they're so over-engineered. High-strung turbo engines, we've covered a lot of the unreliable cars here. So it wasn't like it was a huge anti-EV video. It was just like anti-modern cars. They all suck. But then I talked about older cars. The Cadillac Escalade. As I was driving up to make that video with the 500e, a piece of trim starts flapping on the top. And it's about to fall off, and I barely save it. And it's held by double-sided tape. The truck's 20 years old, and it's getting old and falling apart because it's 20 years old. My beloved Escalade. So there's no winning. That's the thing. There's just no winning now, except Jake apparently.
What did Jake win?
He has an i3 that he was able to fix. A bad air conditioner put it into limp mode because the batteries need to be cooled by the air conditioning, and he fought it for a long time, for months, but he has finally fixed it and has a car that I rode in that drives beautifully.
Huh. So you just need maybe Jake to look
I
at
suppose. But even with BMW i3s and going through and figuring all that stuff out, most shops, they're just not going to mess with it. And the average public who's not mechanic-minded, that doesn't have a mechanic buddy or all that stuff and want to dive through and do all this, they're just going to be like, the car's screwed. I'm going to throw it away. In 10 years, these are just going to be junk throwaway. Like, you can fix a computer, but most people throw away a computer at 10 years.
Well,
you can fix a phone, but most people throw it away.
You even said the same thing. You had the old laptops that were just laying in the shop, and you're like, should I throw these out? I know what I'm going to do with them. And there's really nothing you can do with old laptops.
Yes.
And the same with old cars, EVs particularly, obviously.
So that is the point that I was trying to make in the video. And I read this article, and we'll post it, the link in the description. You can read it. You can watch my video to see, what you think. But I got a kick out of it. I was able to change my video subject to basically a screenshot of this article and saying this was the dumbest and laziest EV take of all time. And it brought like a second wave of views to my video. So it benefited me in that sense. And them posting the link, any publicity is good publicity. But yeah, they think I'm dumb and lazy.
It's really sad.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. So thank you so much for watching my dumbness and laziness.
You're not dumb or lazy.
I love you. You like this dummy?
You're just from Kansas.
Yeah. Oh no. Sorry, Kansas people.